Yes, thank you so much. Yes, there are some questions that are pending. Let's start with Ivan. We'd love to have you come back into the session here. You talked a lot about the onus shifting now that the students have to reach out to their counselors. How could we better support students or give them nudges or reminders to be able to do that? Are there ways that you've seen that have been helpful or ideas that you might have?
Well, um, it's would have to be, and there's no other easier way to put it, but just to bug them as much as possible. Reach out to them consistently, tell them you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, or else we ultimately won't do it. We do have a lot of things going on right now. We have probably around 40 emails a day just by our educators about assignments and counselors and administration and about what's happening at school right now. But I believe that the most efficient way just to communicate with students and tell them about the importance about attending college would just be to bug them, to repeatedly say, this is what you need to do, and just do it.
Awesome. Thanks, Ivan. Um, for Nate, there's a question about social emotional learning and how you're incorporating that from a distance. And then also, I'd be curious to know what your plans are for when you go back to hybrid learning, in person and distance.
Yeah, when it comes to social emotional learning, I don't have any like specific program or approach that I can pass along or websites I pass along. What I can say is I always ask my students how they're doing. I always respond to emails within 5 minutes or so, unless it's after the time I say I'm not able to do that, because I'm just very quickly, it was evident to me that kids are sitting with a lot of anxiety right now, right? And as a result, need to have as much security as I can offer them. And so, for example, right, it may not be direct social emotional learning, but I gave my students from the third day of school, they knew every assignment that was going to be assigned to them. They knew, right, my wife actually developed this before, but like they knew what was coming for the next 9 weeks. And then we could talk about if they had like a big work week, or we talked about if they had something going on at home, what to expect coming up. And that, right, took a lot of prep, and it took a lot of thinking and processing, which is that teacher burnout piece. But it really has helped students come to me and say, next week's going to be a tough week. Can I process all that stuff over 2 weeks instead? And it's allowed me pretty easily to say, yeah. And so all the not sort of traditional social emotional learning stuff, doing my part to try to get them content, but also to just understand that like this is wild. This is all so wild, and that it's okay to say I'm not okay, and then to have me say that's okay, and then work through it.
That's
And
good,
then the
Nate.
second question was about my plans.
Oh, yeah. If there's anything else you wanted to add about when you return to in-person learning and if anything shifts, when you actually get to see your students like in real life.
Yeah, so I'm not certain I'm going back. There's a chance that I decide to walk away, and part of that is concern for my family and my and like my own health. The other part of that is doing this for 13 years and meeting a bunch of awesome people and making a bunch of connections. I've gotten an opportunity to do something elsewhere that is not going to put that in danger, and so as a result, there's a strong chance when we go back on the 22nd, I won't be there, and that's heartbreaking. I've been a part of Flowing Wells for 20 years, but at the same time, this is sort of where we are, and watching my family sort of go through that piece has been really hard, and to think through what I might be able to do to still stay in education, but not. Right, I'm not certain that where I'm at, I will be able to navigate it safely, and so as a result, I have to make some tough decisions, and so that's sort of where I'm at.
Thanks for sharing that, Nate. It's someone who has gotten to see you in action a little bit as a ambassador and in the Teaching in Arizona documentary. It breaks our hearts too. So we're glad you're going to continue teaching. We wish it was here. But thank you for sharing that. Thank you for your heart for your students and for your commitment, because your tenure with Flowing Wells started even before you were teaching. in the classroom.
Yeah.
So thank you for your ongoing commitment. I'm going to come back to you for another question in a minute here, but I'm going to go to Rebecca next. Rebecca, there was a question in the chat about your kids going back and why they're excited to go back. Is it from an academic perspective, a social, being around their friends perspective, or maybe a little bit of both?
Probably 80 to 90% social, honestly. I mean, I think that is such a key ingredient that we're missing. It has been interesting seeing PE happen over, Zoom. They've gotten pretty creative. A band has not worked well over Zoom. So there's certain classes that I think they're definitely excited about getting back and I mean, even things like math. It's hard to learn math over Zoom. When your teachers just, you don't quite have that accessibility. But I would say something that all parents that we've all been talking about, because there's been so much screen time. I think that I look forward to them going back to kind of have less screen time, is